recording. Okie dokie. Right, where was I? I'm going to extrude that a little bit more, scale it in quite a bit, and then extrude it up. And then I'm just going to extrude that, or rather scale that all the way in, as small as I can, and then let's see if we can fill it properly, but without an end gun. We'll do face grid fill. There we go, that'll do for now. So I'll take these faces here and we'll inset them a little bit and then extrude them down, and that way just a bit above the bottom there, and that way we can essentially, if you wanted to put a plane in there with normals on and make it look like water, you could do. I'm going to do auto smooth so you don't see all those vertices. You will see them a bit round the edge, but it's low poly at the end of the day. So that's going to be me stupid little fountain. It's not a very good fountain, but it's kind of fountainish. I think what I want to do...
It's amazing for how quickly you did it.
I think I want to move them up a little bit more and have this a bit deeper. Maybe something like that. Okay, so shall we give it a texture as well while we're on? That might be an idea, mightn't it? I've got to unwrap it first. So we'll start with just a basic unwrap and then start doing it properly. So up here, options, live unwrap, UV, live unwrap, and then we can see it in real time, as it were. So anywhere where there's an inward 90-degree angle, not necessarily an outward one, but an inward one, it's a good idea to put a seam. And if you think about what would happen if you were to cut this up into pieces and make it out of paper, you would do that anyway with this. You'd have to have this bit separate. This bit could still could be fine the way it is, because you could have these, you could have it cut on these bits and have little flaps which fold down, if that makes sense. It's just trying to have a little bit of an idea of kind of real world space in your head, really, I guess. So you, for unwrap, mark seam. Now then, it has shown it there. I'm just going to turn on sync there so you can see it properly. We'll do it there as well. Unwrap. So we've got two little circles. That's the base and that's that little section there. So we've just got to cut this bit up to look right. I think we'll probably cut it there and probably there and there and there, and then I think we'll just do all of these inner ones. And we'll cut out that whole circle at the top. So that's probably going to work. We now just need to cut it all the way down the side so the whole thing opens up flat. So if we look at it from the front, when you add a texture, there's always going to be a seam somewhere, and you want to hide that seam as best you can. So if this is going to be the main viewpoint for this fountain, I would just go around the other side and just put the seam there. This is really good for things like chairs and tables and lamps and stuff. If it's going to be, you know, on a console table up against a wall, just put the seams all at the back. You'll never see them. That's all I do. So we've done that. Now to make the textures wrap properly, we'll want this to be straight because a texture will obviously flow from top to bottom or side to side, and it's going to be all kind of distorted if you have a curved thing. So quick way of doing this is we'll turn off sync. So I'm only seeing the bit I'm going to be working on. We'll start with this one here. If you hover over a section and hit L for link, or select linked, and then open up this little menu that comes up and choose seam, it'll only select everything up to the first seam, whatever the seam boundaries are for that piece. So that's it there. So normally what you'd do is you'd find something that's reasonably straight. You're wanting to make a perfect square and then make all the others follow suit. So I'll try with this one and see if it works. I'm going to choose these two vertices and just right click and choose Align Auto. And I'll do the same with these. And then the left and the right, Align Auto. And then we'll go into face mode. I'll select that face, select L for linked, and it'll select everything else, but that one face is the one that's selected properly, kind of thing. And then right click and choose follow active quads. This is the active one. So we'll see what happens. There we go, nicely straightened out. So we'll see, back into face mode, we'll do the same with this one. That one's reasonably straight as it is, but we'll do the same thing anyway, regardless. So vertex mode, align auto, align auto, follow active quads. This one could be a bit weird, but we'll see what happens. Vertex mode first of all. Align auto. There we go. Okay, we'll do these ones. It's always easiest to try and find something that looks reasonably square to start with. It just makes life a lot easier for you. How we're doing that one. Now that one doesn't seem to have cut, but I'm sure there will be a seam somewhere. Have I missed something? Doesn't look like it. The seam's all the way around, and I've got this seam here. So we'll try just unwrapping that one bit. It's made it massive, so that's just complicating matters for me because I would have to make it, excuse me, the same scale as the other islands afterwards, which I can't be bothered to do. So, you know, anything to make life easier for me. I don't recommend you do what I do sometimes and take the most complicated route to get to something. There's nearly always an easy way of doing it, and if you're unsure, just Google it, look it up on YouTube. There are so many tutorials of people showing how to do things. There we go, I knew it had been cut somewhere. And there is actually an easier way of doing this, but it means installing an add-on. And the add-on, I'll show you in just a second. The add-on is called Text Tools. And it's got loads of things you can do with it. It's really good for baking from high res to low res models. But under UV layout, it's got this button that says rectify. And what I can do to make life easier for myself is I can select that piece there and hit rectify, and it's done it for me. As easy as that. So technically, I could have done that with all of them, but I didn't. So there you go. And each of these pieces, in case anybody's not that familiar with UV maps and stuff, is called an island. So this section here is an island. And I'm going to show you where that is actually referenced in a minute. I'll just do this last bit. That one doesn't need doing. It's fine. And we don't actually need a seam there because it's fine just for that to be flat. So I'll just remove that clear seam. And this is where I find it's undone everything. I knew it would because I still had live unwrap on. So what we'll do is we'll go back into synced mode and we'll just select each one of these separately. Disable sync, it says, of course it does. Anything that just looks a bit bent and not quite right, just straighten it out. We'll select everything, and then here I would do average island scale. Shouldn't make too much of a difference, but it just kind of makes them all the same scale. And then where's it gone? Pack islands, and there it is, all packed nicely. Hasn't really got any much of a margin, but to be honest, it doesn't matter because I'm just going to be using one texture over the whole thing. So I've now got to choose a texture for it. I'll just go into material view here, and back in here, we need to search for something. What we're going to have it made from? Shall we have it made of marble? Maybe. We could choose a nice marble. I'll just choose one from these because at least I know I don't have to sign up just to download a texture. Which one we're going to have? Anything that you like the look of. I don't know. Shall we have this darkish one here? This looks quite interesting, doesn't it? We'll give that a try. We'll just have 2K JPEG. We don't need PNG because there's no transparency. And then I'll extract it. We'll just close that. Close that now. Okay, so we'll go into shading and we'll give it a new material. I'm just going to call it marble for now. And we'll drag in the colour. To be honest, we probably don't need all the other things, but normal, I don't think we need a normal map for marble. It's going to be pretty damn smooth. There's no roughness map. Well, there is, but it's just black, really. There's not a lot going on there. We can try and use it. I would normally say most things, if you can get away without using all the other maps, just don't bother. If it doesn't make that much of a difference, don't bother. It's for VR at the end of the day. It's not like it's for, you know, Archviz or anything like that. So with roughness maps, because it's grayscale, we need to change this from sRGB to non-color. And then we'll just plug it into the roughness node. And that's that, more or less done. Really, all we'd have to do now is adjust probably just the scale, really. So what I'll do, I'll select one of the images. And no, I won't. No, I won't. I'm not going to do that because I don't like to do that when it's for Unity. If I want to reuse a material, I don't want to be fixed to one scale. So what I do is I scale it in the UV map instead. So to do that, I'm just going to go into material view so you can see what I'm talking about. And if I select everything here and scale it, you can see how we can adjust the scale of the material on an object by object basis rather than scaling it in the shader, in the material rather. So I'll just scale it up till I think it looks kind of about right or something I like the look of. I think that's okay. You know, I probably should have left that as completely flat, shouldn't I? I didn't think about that because that's looking weird. I think what I'll do, because I'm a bit anal and too much of a perfectionist, I'm just going to turn off live unwrap and I'll select that bit and I'll just unwrap it again. And then I'll select all of them. Do the average island scale thing again. No, that's kept that big. Right, so what we're going to do in that case, select this one. I'm going to use Texel Density Checker. This is free. If you search for it, Google for it, it's dead easy to find. It's absolutely brilliant. I couldn't manage without this. So you calculate the Texel density and set the value, and then we'll select this one and we'll set the TD. It's not working. Why isn't it working? Maybe it is. Maybe it's me that's just, maybe that is correct. It kind of looks right, doesn't it? Maybe what? It does look like it matches, doesn't it? The scale of the texture here is matching the scale of the texture here. It's not, you can't see a difference. So, you know, I'm not going to worry about it. Stop stressing, Lisa. It's fine. So this is going to be our fountain. So did I have Unity already open? Yes, I did, because I had my trees, because we were going to do trees. So we'll just create a new scene and create it in here. In fact, you know what? Let's create a folder. We'll call it fountain. I'll make a new scene. And first thing I want to do is export this. So I want to make sure that the rotation and scale are applied correctly. And then File, Export as FBX. And it needs to go into Projects. What's this called? I have no idea. SFB2. Oh, goodness gracious me. Yeah. So scroll down here till I find it. I bet it's at the top. Yes, it is. Assets, fountain, and we'll just call it fountain again. That's the name of the object. Selected object. Have I got it selected? Yes, I have. And just the mesh. Export FBX. So now, there it is. And we've got flip normals. You can tell we've got flip normals because you can only see the back side of the inside of the object. It's not rendering correctly. So to fix that, we just flip the normals, dead easy. So we'll go back to, I don't know what they call this, just standard viewport shading. Pull down this little arrow and you'll see an option that says face orientation. Tick that and you'll see it's all red. It needs to be blue like this. Blue is good, red is bad. Because this is the way the normals are facing. This is the side that you'll see. If I was to look at this from the underside, hang on, let's try that again. Look at this from the underside. You can see the bottom exactly as that is in blue, and anything that's red is invisible. So we'll go into edit mode, hit tab, and the easiest, not tab, that's not what I wanted, hit A for all. The easiest thing to do is just Alt and N and flip. It says normals, flip. And that's them the right way around. So I'll turn off face orientation now. We'll re-export it. We're going to overwrite what we've already done, and it will be instantly fixed. There's our fountain. So now we just need the shader doing. And because I like to do my own shaders because they're much more performant, the nice thing about Unity is they have standard shaders already set up to use, but first of all, Banter doesn't play nice with them, and you'll often have trouble, especially with normals. Secondly, there are many options in there that it has to calculate, and you might only be using a few of them. Like in this case, we've only got the colour and one grayscale map for the roughness. So if you were to create a shader that only used the colour and the roughness, it's going to be way more performant than the standard shader that's still got to carry out all those calculations on all the other options. So I would recommend, if you know how and you have the ability to do so, make your own. Shader graph was planned to be working in Banter, but it never really did on mobile, and I think that was due to the latest update at the time. Shader Forge works very much like Shader Graph, so if you're used to that, I recommend using it. It's an old piece of software, but it still works well. It's not supported anymore, but for now it works, so I would recommend that. If you already have Amplify Shader Editor, which is paid for, that's what I use, and that's what I'm going to use now. Amplify Shader Editor isn't the cheapest shader editor around, but it goes on sale very often, and you can often get it for 50% or even less sometimes. Sometimes you can find it on Humble Bundle as well, along with Bakery, which is brilliant, and what I use to do all my light baking. So anyway, enough of that. Marble. We're making a marble shader. So we're only going to use the colour, which is the albedo, and this one, Unity uses smoothness. So we'll have to invert the roughness map to change it to a smoothness map. So hold down T and click and you get a texture sample node, and we'll do it again. One's going to go into colour. One of them needs to be inverted. So we need to search for this one, I think. Oh no, we don't, because we use a 1 minus. Hold down O and click, and it's 1 minus. Plug that into there, and that into there, and that's it inverted. I'm hoping you'll be able to see how if I expand that. So we need to name these so we don't get confused. I'm going to call this one colour, and I'm English, so I use a U, sorry, but that's the way it is. And this one I'm going to call, I'm going to call roughness, because we'll have to plug in a roughness map. But I'm going to tell it that if I don't use a roughness map, I want there to be no roughness at all, as in fully smooth. I think. Do I? Is that what I want? No, I think if I'm not going to use a roughness map, I want it to be fully rough. I don't want it to be shiny like a mirror. So I'll leave it as white. You can tell it whether to be white or black. If you use a normal map, you'd have to tell it that it's a bump map. But yeah, we'll leave it like that. I'll save it. And then we're going to create, we'll just right click on this and create a material out of it. It'll automatically add the shader because we did it by right-clicking on the shader itself. So now we just need to bring in these materials, and I can't remember where I put them, probably in my downloads. Let's have a look. There we go. Color. We can just drag it in, and roughness. So now we can just drag that into there. See, now it's already applied its own because it knew that they were used in the FBX we exported. But we're going to drag the material onto there, and that's it looking right. So we've got a fountain. What we haven't got is a particle system. And this is where I do know what I'm doing when it comes to bringing stuff into Unity, but when it comes to particle systems, I'm clueless. So this is going to be fun. Let's have a look. It's going to be under effects, particle system. Yeah. Oh, we've got something going on, and it looks like it's going up, which is what we wanted. Let's just have a quick look at that. This isn't, it is in the center. Particle system isn't, so let's just do that. Get our little handles and we'll move it up, and we'll want it to be way smaller than that. So let's have a look and see what we can do here. Looping, pre-warm, start delay, start lifetime, start speed. Is the speed okay? Well, we can adjust the speed afterwards. Start size. Let's have this a random between two constants so that we can have some a little bit bigger than others. We'll try maybe from 0.1 to 0.3 perhaps. Yeah, maybe. Gravity modifier. Should we try increasing the gravity a little bit? See what happens. Yeah, I've got a bit of something going on. Maybe a bit less gravity. We still need that cone to be way smaller, of course, though. So let's have a look at the shape. Angle radius, we'll reduce that a little bit. Maybe something like that. Kind of looks like bubbles, so we probably need it to go faster, don't we? Start speed. Shall we increase that a bit? Oh, and now it's flying off into the distance. So we need that to be a bit less. Let's see, do we increase the gravity? I don't know what I'm doing. Anybody, any ideas? Well, there we go. That's not so bad. We could add maybe a little bit of noise. Yeah, that's made it a little bit random. But I think we need this shape still working on a little bit, don't we? Angle. We'll reduce the angle. What's that like? What do you think? It's not exactly falling into, it's obviously going to take a bit of tweaking to get it to fall into this a bit more. Probably need that shape still reducing even more, you know, don't we? We'll have it at a minimum, maybe. What's that like? Emission, we can increase the number of particles. Rate over time, we can increase that to, I don't know, maybe something like that. But then what we can do is, instead of having these little white things that look like snow, is we can replace them default particles. I'm sure we can use it, have it like render as a mesh, so you could actually create a water droplet. I don't think that would be recommended though, because of the amount of geometry and that it's got to render. I would probably just change the material if you could find something that looks like a water droplet. I don't know. I don't know. Trails, lights, texture sheet, emitters, triggers, collision, no. Anybody else know anything about particle systems? Lifetime by emitter speed, inherent velocity. There is a way of doing this. Oh, it's got to be under renderer, hasn't it? Material, default particle system. It's got to be under renderer somewhere. Billboard. It does need to be billboarded. Oh, there we go. Mesh. That's where we could put in our own mesh. So technically, if we wanted, it is actually doing cubes. If I was to stop that, say it's little cubes and it's put the particle system thing on each side of the cube. So you could, if you wanted, if you had very simple geometry, you could actually create your own water droplets for that. Let's see what happens if I put in a little sphere. We'll actually hide it down here inside. That's not what I wanted. Hide it inside so you don't see it. Oh, that's not it either. Oh lordy. Reset. Make it small. Hide it, because we need a reference mesh. Particle system. Let's come back down here. And we're going to drag that into there where it says cube. No, it doesn't want to do that. I'll just use sphere. There we go. So we do have actual spheres. But it does still kind of look like you'd have to have a decent material that looked like water on there, I think. But yeah, it's totally doable. Under emission, is there a thing for scale? No, we've got to change the scale here, haven't we? 3D start size. Let's just reduce that a little bit more. That doesn't affect it. You know what? Let's forget about that. Like I said, I would never recommend you use mesh anyway. I would recommend you just use a billboard plane with an image of a water droplet or something on it. But yeah, it's good fun. I would recommend having a play with particle systems. It's nice for making like fireworks and things like that. I bet you any money you could find something on Google, on YouTube rather. If we do search for Unity fountain, maybe particle fountain tutorial, fountain effect. See, there's loads that you could look at. That looks quite interesting. A lot of them are anime ones, but yeah, that could work quite well if you use trails, I guess. That's what he's using there. Trails is something else. It's something you turn on in the particle system. I've never played with them much myself because I've never really used them. But yeah, ratio. Turn that up just a tiny bit. Lifetime, turn it down. That just looks a bit weird, isn't it? Because we've got noise on there. But you could get it looking good. I would have a look. Honestly, I would recommend always have a look on YouTube. You'll find something that'll teach you how to do stuff. So there you go. That is the sum of my knowledge on particle systems.
Oh well.
Ah,
Always learning. Always
yeah,
learning.
yeah. I wonder where Kalima's gone, because she was asking me how to do a fountain particle system. That's why I did it. She can always watch it. She can always watch it afterwards.
Yeah, I think the timers all got mixed up today.
Yeah, I don't know how, because it's still 7 p.m., the same time as it's always been for us.
Well, in events, it says you're starting at 8.
Well, I got a reminder that I
think
started in
6.
20 minutes. At 6:40, it said I was starting in 20 minutes.
So in banter, it said that there was one at 8 and 6, and in what's that thing called?
Oh man.
Can't even think what the program's called now.
Discord.
That's it. In Discord, it was a different time as well.
Uh-huh.
So we have 3 different times.
Yeah. Well, I didn't look in Banter or Discord. I looked on the Banter website. Live ends 19 minutes
so there
from
might have
now.
been a different one.
But then it also says starts 1 hour from now.
Yeah. So it's definitely a mess up.
Yep. Absolutely. There's something definitely wrong there. Well, there you go. Never mind.
Not to worry, not to worry.
Well. Yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Open project. No, let's close that. Actually, I think it probably was. Was that the hub? Yes, that was the hub. But the project's already open. Man. All I was trying to do was find... where did I put it? Was it in test? No, I don't think so. No, that's not what I wanted. No, that's not what I wanted. Goodness gracious. Is it under scenes? See, this is how disorganized I am. No, that's not what I wanted either. Where's it gone? Oh, maybe it's in a different... Oh, you know what? I think it might be in a different thing. Yeah, it is. Totally different project. Well, maybe I won't bother with that. Because there's only... Well, there's 6 minutes left. And it looks like it's just me and you, Triffid. So is there anything that you'd like to see in the next 6 minutes?
Not that I can think of offhand. You put me on the spot there.
Well, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, just... It just, you got me all to yourself, so I thought if there's anything that I could go through, yeah, I would. So yeah, I was going to do originally, because I promised a few weeks ago before I went on me jollies, that we're going to do some trees, put some trees outside this
That's right.
cathedral-y thing. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to put the Blender file, if it's small enough, on Discord, so everybody can have the file for this, and they can all have a play around putting stuff either in or around the cathedral, like making trees and stuff.
yeah.
But next week we're going to go over tree it in a bit more depth, how to do custom trees yourself. These aren't custom trees, these are just built-in ones, like example trees that come with it. But I think it would be nice if people could actually design their own and do what they wanted. Maybe even do plants. You know, they could have some like stands of, I don't know, they might want some lilies on here and a coffin. No, that's a bit too sad, isn't it? No, maybe not. Maybe that's not a good idea. But yeah,
Could do
I
a
think
font
that's
for a christening.
yeah. I wouldn't know what a font looks like, but yeah, I could.
I don't either, but it's a bowl with water in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, could do, absolutely. So yeah, this is the file. I'll get this uploaded, and then people can download it and have a look at it ready for next week. But yeah, I'm thinking about having this featured. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know whether to add more to it though. I was thinking of putting like some books in these things at the back. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I was also thinking of actually having these doors going somewhere as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm undecided. So I like it just the way it is. I don't want to mess it up. I think probably what I will do though is have these arches at the top, make those windows as well, and have some more light coming in. I do like the light from the lamps, but I think it would be nice to have those stained glass windows as well. Maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. Oh well. Well, I'm out of ideas. So, like I say, we've got 3 minutes till the end of the event. Sorry about that. It's a message off my mum. I don't know if you heard that. Yeah, I was maybe thinking about doing something with cloth as well. Maybe the week after next, making something out of fabric. Not necessarily curtains. I know we've covered curtains, but you know, maybe tablecloths or wall hangings or something like that. I think that might be a nice thing to cover. So I'll make a note of it. But you know, if we've kind of come to the natural conclusion for today, there's only a minute left. I think we'll just end it. I'm just going to stop the recording anyway.